Good evening and welcome back to another podcast show on the Final Flight podcast. So we decided to do something a little bit different tonight. We've obviously got myself and Rich. We've got George back. George, are you good, mate?
Yeah, all good, mate. Yeah, happy to be back.
Good, man. Yeah, so, we kind of sacked off the weekend previews now the last few weeks up to Cheltenham. We just kind of gets a little bit, a bit more concentrated on the big weekend match. And we decided we're going to do some sort of Cheltenham special starting with tonight. We're going to go through the novice hurdle races. So, the Supreme, the Turners, the Albert Bartlett, the Triumph, and probably the Mayor's Novice as well. We'll talk through them, sort of fresh eyes, look through the market, see where we think the winners are or where there might be some nice prices lurking. Obviously we've got just under 4 weeks to go. We're going to do that tonight. Then obviously we've got the novice chases after this next week, and then we'll do like the open races, and then we'll leave. And then we'll obviously the week before we're going to have our big full preview, which we'll decide on announcing later on. But Rich, are you excited? Obviously we've had big news already this week with Sergino out, which is a massive blow to the festival. But are you looking forward to Cheltenham while we do these last few shows?
Yes, I think it'll be interesting, with all the changes that have gone on. But big blow to the Tuesday with Sergino and Marsborough clash now not happening. So bit of a body blow, but hey ho.
Yeah, what was it? It was only about 30% of the Accas down, wasn't it? With Gino disappearing. George, did you back Sergino in any of your bets? So it's gutting that he's out. Let's just hope that he can pull through whatever's happening.
Yeah, I had him. Well, actually, funny enough, it was a bad bet that turned into a good bet. I had him in a double with Ballyburn for the Turners before they made the changes to the Turners. So obviously they voided the Turners part of it, and it just went on to a 10-1 single on Sergino. Which that one was fairly painful. He's in a few multiples, but he's not running no bet in the majority of them. So
you'll get 10-1 next year for the champion chase, won't you?
I'm not sure you'd even get that now for next year's champion chase. Looking at this year's champion chase,
I think you'll be a poor bookie, Rich, with some of the prices you'll throw out.
I won't last long.
No, it's a real shame that he's out, but hopefully he can recover from the injury that he's got. But yeah, all we're going to do is going to go through the novice races. So what we'll do is we're going to kick off with the Supreme, and I've got a little bit of the market which I'm going to put up. Oh my lord, look at that! So if you're watching on YouTube, we just put the sort of the top 10 in the market sort of thing while we're going to talk through these. But I'll come to you first, George, mate. Since you jumped on tonight, obviously we've got Kopek de Boards in his favourite, pretty solid. He's been pretty well back 10-11 after his DRF performance. Sort of fresh eyes in it then. What do you think of this race, mate? He looks pretty solid, doesn't he?
Yeah, look, I think if you can get anything evens or bigger on the day about Kopek de Boards, I'd say absolutely plough into him. Like he sets the standard here massively, doesn't he? Like he did so much wrong on his hurdles debut and still had the engine to win. I was of the opinion just going into the DRF that nothing would be able to go his gallop, and the same thing had happened again. Like you had horses like Cade Dorothy that needs further, Redemption Day needs further. What's the other one? The other K one, not Kel Histoire, but yeah. And actually,
Cocktail Divan was the other one. Cocktail Divan?
No, he beat that the time before, didn't he? I think.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, I got them mixed up. Yeah, there's too many Ks this year, I think.
Yeah, the Cocktail Divan's in a way the one of the sort of form horses, isn't he? Because his form ties in with Cowabunga as well, and
that's the one. Yeah, that's where I've got mixed up. He beat Cowabunga, then Cowabunga's beat Cocktail Divan. Yeah, sorry, mate. Carry on.
Cocktail Divan finished behind Cade Dorothy as well, and that's the
one. Yeah. Too many Ks. Too many Ks gets me right mixed up. Sorry, carry on, mate.
Yeah, look, he brushed up his jumping and it took him to a whole nother level. Like, I can't see people say about whether he'll boil over at Cheltenham, but it's a pretty stern test for a fizzy horse going to the DRF these days. Like, it's a busy day. Like loud, well lubricated crowds. I can't think that Cheltenham's going to offer anything really the DRF didn't to make him boil over. So you're sort of left really, what people want to know is something like a bit more of a price. Like, Romeo Coolio's too short for me for a horse who got beat in a Royal Bond, despite the fact he seemed to improve the next day. Salvatore Monday needs to improve his jumping a lot. I'd be very interested in Work Ahead. Work Ahead made his debut the same day as Copec de Boards over hurdles. I'm sorry, no, he ran the time before, sorry, but he won his maiden hurdle the same day as Copec de Boards did, and he was 0.02 of a second slower. Like, pretty much the exact same time. And he did do everything right, and Copec de Boards did a lot wrong. But this owner tends to buy these sort of like bigger, more backwards horses, and I could see him taking a big step forward and certainly hitting the 3 at 14-1 wouldn't look a dreadful price now. And bear in mind, yeah, there's the Henry stable form, but God, he always gets them right for Cheltenham, doesn't he? Like, how many years in a row, I'd say even, have we been going into Cheltenham and going, oh, Henry's are out of form, and then bang, 2-3 winners first couple of days.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that horse would interest me. He probably doesn't. He probably can't improve enough in one run to win the Supreme. I think the number of horses that have won the Supreme off the back of a maiden hurdle win is a very, very short list. But I think I can see him hitting the 3 anyway. And I like Kel Histoire as well. If his jumping improves, he could turn tables with Salvatore Monday. But too many ifs for me. If I was having an each way bet now, it'd be Work Ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably agree with that, to be honest. I mean, obviously, our fans of Salvatore Monday from the off, but, you know, you've got to kind of look at it as a completely clean slate. What have we seen so far? And Copec de Boards, what he did at the DRF was just leagues apart from anything else I think that we've seen. Salvatore Monday, obviously, like, he wears the tongue tie, he wears the hood, he's got all these sort of little quirks, and his jumping needs to improve, and he looked beat on his debut, but then he come back and won, and it's like, how much do you trust that? But I think Copec de Boards just looked way more solid. That DRF one was just brilliant. The improvement that we saw from this first win to second, I think, is massive. And I watched it back today, and he was a little bit keen and all that. The loose horse was messing about with him as well, and nothing's got anywhere near this horse. And he's almost canter past. Like, you're thinking he's got loads left in the tank. I mean, you don't know how much more improvement's going to come. So yeah, I think he's definitely going to be the one to beat, and I think he will win. And again, for me, Romeo Coolio, I'm surprised he's not been passed by some of these. I think Work Ahead, like you say there, George, that obviously you can say Henry's out of form, but he does have this dip, and then he comes good in March. Will he be good enough to beat Copec de Boards? I'm not sure. I mean, Rich, Salvatore Monday, I mean, we've not seen him. We're not going to see him, obviously, till Supreme. He's going to have to take some step forward, isn't he, to beat Copec? Surely. I mean, I would, obviously, without Copec de Boards, I thought he'd probably do it with Paul on, but now Paul's not going to be on him. I'm like, that's a massive one for me, to be honest.
I think we might finally have a decent Supreme. I mean, last year's, turns out, the form was shocking. I mean, you had Slaysteel won it. It's not won since. Marine Nationale won it the year before that. Not really doing anything. And then, obviously, it was Conhill. Yeah, I mean, Copec de Board, probably the best novice performance we've seen this season. I mean, he beat, I can't remember who was second, but he beat him quite well in 13 lengths. I think Timeform gave him a rating of 154, which means he's going to be the highest rated horse to run in the Supreme since Altior back in 2016, I believe. So it just potentially shows just what a superstar he is going to be. I mean, if you look at the racing IQ, their jumping index for his debut was only 5.6, and then that was the biggest question mark going to DRF, and he jumped everything quite smoothly, and they gave him an 8, I think, after that. So the improvement was there for all to see. He probably will improve again. I mean, he was still quite keen. I think Paul said that he ran away with him a couple of times in the race, which is quite an achievement to still go and put in that sort of performance. But yeah, he's the one they've all got to beat. I wouldn't write off Salvatore Monday. Obviously, I think he's got a lot of improvement to do to get to Copec's level, but he's got an engine like Kopeg, and I thought he did well last time when they left him around the bend. I mean, his jumping obviously needs to improve, but they didn't seem too concerned with that. They kind of think he knows he can jump a lot better. I mean, everybody was saying that he was probably the best novice they had until Kopek came out and smashed everybody at the DRF. So I don't think he's a bad horse. I just think potentially he's not as far forward as Kopek. I mean, he's going to obviously improve for the Moscow Flyer. The ratings isn't the best. I think it was one of the worst renewals of the race since 2001 figures, which is not promising. But I mean, it was run at a slow pace. It was a sprint finish. The Supreme's going to be completely different. I mean, they're going to go some out there. So I think you've got to take that into consideration. I think he'll be there and thereabouts. Work ahead. I don't know. I'm not convinced. I mean, I don't know. I'd rather have Romeo Kulo, if I'm honest with you, each way.
Not Romeo Slowly, oh, come on.
Romeo Slower, yeah. But I don't know. Something about it, I just think he's more of a solid option. I mean,
but he got beaten in the Royal Bond.
He did get beaten in the Royal Bond, yeah. But he won the last time out, didn't he?
What were the rating of the horse that beat him in Royal Bond? It was something like 128 or something.
Yeah, I suppose that's the question mark. I mean, not saying he's going to go and win. I'm just saying.
It was definitely run race, wasn't it? He run off the front last time, didn't he? A lot better run for him, I suppose.
I can imagine. I can see him finishing in the top three. I mean, his form kind of ties in with Kopek. I mean, he finished in front of Blue Devassi by 9 lengths. Blue Devassi finished 6th in the Kopek de Boards race.
How many lengths behind Kopek was Blue Devassi? I've got it here if you want it.
Quite a lot, I think.
38 lengths.
Well, there you go.
Romeo Kulo beat
Romeo beat Carnique was back in 5th. He was 13 lengths.
Carnique nearly fell that day. He literally did all but fall. Like you can't. I don't think you can compare it. Where he's put a clean round of jumping in the next day. Like it's hard to compare those two. I'd say, just for the listeners.
I'll be absolutely gobsmacked if Romeo Coolio won this Supreme.
No, he's not. He's not going to win, but I think he'll play. I think he's a good each way sort of. If you want to bet to nothing, I mean Kelly's story would be quite interesting. Although I think Mullins just said that he didn't have the gears that Salvatore Mundi has, so I can maybe see them maybe go into the turners with that, and maybe that would mean Kawabunga would go here. Maybe.
Interesting. El Histoire is not slow. He's definitely not slow, but he's saying he's not got the same gears as Kopek des Boards is a bit like saying, I haven't got the gears of Usain Bolt. It sort of depends.
I know he said Salvatore Mundi.
Salvatore Mundi. Yeah. It's I do think he's a very nice horse, and that's sort of where I've got to give Salvatore Mundi a bit of respect. You say it wasn't a very highly rated renewal of that race the last day, but I do really rate Kel Histoire and Relieved of Duties. I think there might be longer term projects, but they're really nice horses, I think, going forward. But Relieved of Duties is probably more of a Jerry Colombe sort of type long term, but they both. He reminds me of Jerry Colombe, and the second, what's its name, Kel Histoire reminds me a lot of Mystical Power. They're sort of, I know they're horses that run in the same colours, so it's very easy to say, but I just think once Kel Histoire sorts out his jumping, I think he'll be a very quick horse. Like, it'll be very difficult to beat. I think it's just his jumping sort of doesn't allow him to use his speed as he might.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be one of the main things. I think the jumping department's going to be massive in this. Like I say, they're not going to go slow. I can just see Kopek de Boards picking it up down, going down the hill, and before you know it, it's turning in 5 or 6 in front, and that'll be it. Or was it Appreciated who won it by a mile? Remember that?
8 lengths with it?
Yeah, somewhat like that. He's going to win easy like that, I think. Come on.
He's rated the same now as he was after that.
Mad that, isn't it? Like you say, how often do they kick on from winning the Supreme? Yeah. We're not as often anymore, is it? But
I'll give you a fun little form comparison for Work Ahead and Romeo Coolio as well. So we were just comparing them then anyway. Something I saw earlier is how their Irish point-to-points worked out, which, the relevance of which might be, you could question, but I find it interesting. So Work Ahead beat a horse that went on to win a point-to-point by 8 lengths. The third horse has now won 5 under rules. The fourth horse has now won 4 point-to-points and 2 hunter chases. Now compare that to Romeo Coolio's point-to-point, which might be one of the best worked out point-to-points you've seen. I think the second is Now What Do You Think? Who, I mean, he's just won a national flat race and point-to-point. The third is the Rossington Main winner, Dedicated Hero. The fourth and last was A Work in Progress, who just won his 5th chase in a row yesterday at Lingfield.
Yeah.
That's for there are 5 runners, only 4 finished. That's a pretty damn good point, isn't it, at Belfair?
It's not bad, that.
Romeo Coolio spread eagled them. Like, you must have been watching it at the time, going 4-runner race, and all 4 of them finished within 9 lengths of each other. That must be an absolute. It must be all piles of shit.
So we're saying Arkle next year for Romeo Coolio then, based on his point-to-point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, why not? I found that interesting. I didn't know. It's the sort of thing, unless you go looking for it, you won't find it. So listening amusing.
Yeah, I think, like I say, I think we've covered everything there. I think Coppet de Bars is pretty solid. We know
we all agree the new lion's not going to turn up.
Yeah.
I think Dan Skelton come on, think that short the day, didn't he, and said, I don't know, unless it become like a bog or a monsoon, they might swap him, but I think he's pretty much nailed Turners, isn't he?
Yeah.
I can't see him dropping back. No chance, but yeah. I put William Money on there just for a laugh because I think he's got no chance. But yeah, it's certainly going to be interesting.
He's another important form horse, isn't he, William Money? He ties a lot of them together, much like Coppet.
Yeah, they'll kind of interlink a little bit, don't they? Coppet just comes out on top. I know he's short price now, you know. I mean, I put him up on my Twitter for the Turners at chuffing 10-1, and that went well, didn't it? So I think there'll be a lot of people out there. Salvatore Mundi improves as much as Kopeck does on his second run.
I
mentioned this the other day. It could happen, but you know, I don't know.
Salvatore Mundi's got a lot more hurdling experience already, though, isn't he? Like, he can improve fitness-wise, but I mean, he's not going to. The improvement from Copac des Boards came from A, a little bit of fitness, and B, that he jumped properly. But Salvatore Mundi sort of been there, done it, bought the T-shirt.
So I mean, what's he had now? He's had 4. I think he's had 4 runs over hurdles already now.
Yeah.
Salvatore Mundi. So the more you think about it, you think, well,
don't forget he was second behind Sergino.
Yeah, well, that's what we clung on to at the beginning of the season. But I just think recency bias now. I mean, I've got Monday at a big price. So I don't want to talk about like bets we've already got because it's kind of like fresh face. But you know, I will be surprised if he beats Coppet de Boards. If Coppet de Boards runs to that peak and he improves again, he could be the next sort of absolute monster that we've been waiting for, sort of thing. Hopefully he does. It'd be nice to have him because I think a lot of people will be on him. Hopefully he goes and wins. That'll do us for Supreme then. Coppet de Boards all aboard the train. I'm going to move on to now the Turners, where we've got another Mullins favourite, which is Final Demand. Currently at favourite. Coppet de Boards obviously is in here as well, but obviously he's not going to go here. The New Lions second favourite. Cowabunga probably going to go here. Yellow Clay's an interesting one, sort of bigger than the rest. You know, the English are in here. Potter's Charm. Come to you, Rich. I mean, you like Potter's Charm beginning of the season, didn't you? You didn't put him up for Turner's route, but liked him obviously as we were watching through the season. You know, the DRF obviously Final Demand has blown him away in the Nathaniel Lacey. And we obviously had the New Line coming from the Challow with the anchor of the curse, that, you know, the record from that race. Go on, mate. What are your thoughts on this today then?
I mean,
you put him up in the anti-post show, actually, didn't you? The New Line. Are you worried about Final Demand or what?
Yes, I'm
You've
intrigued.
got to be quaking in your boots, surely. Quaking.
I'm intrigued. I mean, yeah, I put the New Line up. He's the best hope the English have got, but like you say, the Challow curse is quite plain to see.
Hang on though, but be aware. Be aware has battered him in a racecourse gallop.
Well, apparently
got 40 lengths or something. So surely he should be in his favourite, shouldn't he?
Well, you never know. I mean, the Shallow form has been knocked a bit. I mean, you got Bill Joyce finishing third, who finished third again, I think, in the Grade 2 at Cheltenham we've just seen. Regent Stroll finished second in the listed contest. It's not great.
Don't mention Regent Stroll. Don't mention Regent Stroll.
I mean, Wendigo did come up and win by 7.5 lengths today at Wetherby in some sort of novice.
1 to 50 on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. I'm intrigued because I don't think we've got to the bottom of New Lion. Like, I don't think he's been pushed and tested at any point of his racing career yet. I mean, the Shallow, he just kind of strolled across the line. JP's obviously splashed the cash. Apparently, could be mega money. So he doesn't. He doesn't often get it wrong, does he? I can't think. Obviously, he's bought a few duds, but
Well, you
9
throw
times out,
enough money at some. You throw enough money at it, someone going to stick out.
I know, but there's throwing money at things, and there's like paying mega amounts for one horse, isn't there?
Well, 7 figures definitely. I think it's madness, isn't it? But it's probably pocket change for him. But I get what you're saying. It's a lot of money to throw on one.
Exactly. It's a lot of eggs to put into one basket. Final Demand, very impressive. I mean, everybody was talking to Albert Bartlett. Willie has kind of thrown that out, saying, no, this is going to be his race. He's obviously going to be stepping back in trip from last time.
Who was that, sorry?
Sorry?
Who was that, sorry?
Hasn't Mullins said that he doesn't really fancy the Bartlett? He's going to go for this.
Oh, yeah, Final Demand. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, he was given 154, I think, for the DRF win, which is pretty impressive on his only second start. Elsewhere, Potter's Charm, I can't really have. I think they kind of ruined it for him last time, trying to get a bit of prize money at Cheltenham. What else we got in here? Yellow Clay, I think, could be quite interesting at a price. I mean, what have you got him down there for? 14 to 1. I think that's quite a good each way sort of value.
Gordon he has shortened up a little bit for the Albert Bartlett.
I think he's half the price for the Albert Bartlett, isn't he? I think.
Yeah, I know they sort of mentioned this race, didn't they? But I think they might
Gordon is always pointing towards this though whenever he gets mentioned about it. So
I think he's maybe thinking it maybe looks a little bit stronger now than it did before, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Carry on.
I mean, he was an A-class winner as well as an ace. I mean, you've got what else is there in the race? I mean, you've got Yellow Clay, New Lion, Final Demand. I think they're the three you're probably going to take out of it. Kawabunga, William Money. I can't really have that sort of those two. Potter's Charm, not for me. Yeah.
Hey, Doody, what about him? He's in here now, and he probably comes here, doesn't he? Everyone, a lot of them said a few people banking in for Supreme, but obviously he got battered, so he's going to step up in trip, I think, probably come here, but yeah, he's not got a chance, has he?
I mean, he fell on his debut, didn't he? And then he won next time out, and then bombed out again at the DRF. Nah, I couldn't. He's not very reliable in my eyes, so I wouldn't have him at all.
No, I mean, I'll come to you, George. I mean, obviously, we've got Final Demand in here now up against New Lion. Can New Lion shake that Challow curse? I mean, obviously the forming behind of him is not been franked at all. It's obviously took quite a few hits. It's been poor. I know Wendingo won today, but nothing race. But the rest of them kind of not shown anything. But he won it so easily. Like, what do we take from that? Is he could be anything or what? Can he be the one to do it? Do you think?
Well, my long-standing view on why the Challow horses tend to get beaten at the festival is fairly regularly you're looking at bad ground that time of year, and then the horses that are able to win the Challow in bad ground are running in the Turners, where they should probably be in the Albert Bartlett. It's probably more a case they end up in the wrong races. It's such a stamina test, like running in that in bad ground in Newbury. Difference being this year, it wasn't run on bad ground. It was actually a speed test this year, and he came through with flying colours. My other problem with the Challow as regards to Cheltenham, though, which is something that hasn't changed, is how early relatively it is in the season.
Just going to say that I think you mentioned this once when we come on before the gap and him going straight there and stuff.
Well, you sort of almost have to, because you're getting your horse. You need to get a couple of runs into him before the Challow, and then you're asking him to perform to Grade 1 level at that time of the year, and then somehow keep him progressing to Cheltenham, which the only way you can really even fathom doing it is to give him a break and start again, which isn't really ideal, is it?
No.
Because even then, if you gave him a prep run, then you're talking like Cheltenham being his 5th run of the season, whereas the Willie horses don't have to worry about that. They just, he's going to come here off, it'll be his 3rd run of the season at Cheltenham. There's that that's against him, but what's in his favour is that actually the Challow was more of a speed test this year than it usually is. Having said that, I really like Final Demand, and I can't be against him. There's all this sort of talk about he needs to go to the Albert Bartlett. He'd be stepping up 2 furlongs in trip to go to the Albert Bartlett. He's stepping down 1 furlong in trip to go to the Turners. It's not this mad sort of it's the closest trip to the trip he won over last time that's available to him. Like, it's not this sort of mad thing that sort of it's been made out. And let's say it gives you the option next year as a chaser of starting over 2.5, rather than if you go to the Albert Bartlett, then you're talking about having to start as a 3-mile novice chaser.
He wins the Browns next year.
Yeah, you'd rather teach them to stay than try and drop them back in trip and teach a horse that you've already taught to stay to go faster.
Yeah, that makes sense. That.
Yeah, it's the option that makes the most sense, and I think he's so good it's not going to matter. I really like this horse, and over 2.5 the time before. I know it was only a maiden hurdle, but you look at he was quickening into every single hurdle. He's quickening between the wings. He was making ground in the air. He's making ground on the landing side. He's not slow. We all know he didn't. We all know what we saw at Leopardstown. He didn't look slow that day. He looked pretty damn quick, even for 2.5 the time before. I couldn't envisage running him over 3 miles like now. I think he's too quick, too exuberant, and I think the Turners is going to suit him down to the ground, to be honest. Away from them, I couldn't really. The only things I could find are real. 6 Mile Bridge isn't a massive flyer for me. Like, he got beat on hurdles debut at Stratford, but 2 mile round Stratford is a serious speed test. And that was wearing a first-time tongue tie as well, which he might not have been used to. And he's only beat 1.25 lengths. Since then, he's run 3 times over 2 mile 4, and nothing's seen which way he went. Like, he's won by 14 lengths, 4 lengths, 8.5 lengths. I was really impressed with him as a bumper horse as well. He's just a horse I really like a lot, and I think probably the Cheltenham bumper came too soon for him last season. It was 4 weeks after making his racecourse debut. I think it probably came around quick enough. I could see him outrunning his odds. What was he at the minute? 16s.
16 is best price today, yeah.
And if there was one more that is a bit of a mad one, it would have to be non-runner money back, because he's the same price for all 3 novice hurdles. I think Blur de Vassy will be much better up in trip. I sort of called it the last day that he wasn't going to be able to lay up. And if you look at his form before that, is the second to Romeo Coolio, even though he's beat 9 lengths, he was keeping on that day. I think he's crying out for 2.5 miles, and I can't see them skipping straight to 3 miles with him. So he's a massive price. He's 66 to 1. But if we get a load of runners here, and you can even get maybe 4 places, like, it could happen looking at these runners. Like, we do have sort of wealth of talent being aimed at these races this year. And if you could maybe get an extra place, like, he could be of interest. I don't think he'll win. Maybe it'd be a place only bet on the day.
No, that's a fair comment. Like I say, I'd love to, there's so many people, I think, on Coppet de Boards, Turner's Final Demand, Albert Bartlett double. That was kind of the big talk before the DRF, and then obviously they both won the way they've won, and it's kind of like completely flipped on its head. But I agree with you there. I think dropping back slightly is miles better than them stepping up. We know, the Albert Bartlett's, it can be a bit of a grueling race at times, and I think this sort of horse, there's no point risking him in that. I think he's going to be very, very, very hard to beat. I was dead impressed with DRF. It's kind of made me this year think I'm just not going to back anything next year until after DRF, because that's when we know where the best ones are. You know what I mean? I think Cowabunga was the one maybe each way I quite liked. I thought the second to Copex, probably good form there. Obviously won last time. I know he beat William Money by a way, and then Cocktail Divan was behind. I know Emery's form's a bit iffy, but I thought he looked as he might, stepping up in trip. I think he'll go quite well. But yeah, I struggle to see Final Demand. The new line I've said from word go. Really, I won't be backing him, me personally. If he goes and wins, and it's kind of like, you know what, fair enough. He's a superstar. He goes and does it. But I just think history knows. It's another loser for the end of push show for Rich, so that makes me even more happy.
So the thing with Cowabunga, isn't it, is he got £9 higher RPR for winning his maiden hurdle than his second to Copac Day Boards. the sort of trick to how much of a step forward you really think he took is: are you more impressed? Are you impressed that he beat Cocktail Divan 23.5 lengths, or are you disappointed he only beat William Money a length and a half? Because those are both nice horses. They're both really nice horses. And I don't know what to make of that bit of form, because he's blown the rest of them to bits. But it's just the one horse who you wouldn't really want finishing as close as he did. Bear in mind, what was it? William Money. He was beat 7 lengths by Work Ahead. Beaten 11 lengths by Redemption Day in the Punchdown Bumper. Like, you probably don't want him finishing that close to him, do you? But to say he's absolutely upended the rest of them. It's something you'd have to weigh up before you're parting with money on him.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, kind of clutching at straws. And I mean, for me, it's like we go round and round and round, and we end up back on the favourite. But this Final Demand just looks a league above. The only one I think that's, yeah, I don't know. I can't have New Lion. We'll see what happens. But I think Final Demand is a very, very strong favourite, and I do think he will win. So we'll see what happens. Right, next one, Mares Novice Hurdle. We've obviously got 6.5 and Maureen at the top of the market for this one. We've got Caroline Bamboo in here, Jubilee Alpha, and so on and so on. Rich, obviously we didn't see Maureen for quite a while, to be fair. We had to wait and wait and wait. She finally come out at the end of January. And we've seen 6.5 also win really well for the Cromwell team. Do you see it between these two? Is there anything at a bigger price? I know we had Keelan on early in season. He wanted Diva Luna for it, but she's kind of been beat a couple of times. What are your overall thoughts, mate?
I think the last 2 races that we're going to cover are a bit more wide open than the first 2. I mean, I'm just looking at previous winners. You had Golden Ace at 10s, You Wear It Well at 16s, Love Envoy 15-2, Tell Me Something Girl at 5s, Concertista 9-2. I think you want to be looking maybe away from the favourite based on those sort of trends. I mean, obviously we had Brighter Days Ahead who should have won last year, but somehow got beaten. Yeah, I mean, Maureen, we finally got to see a 5-length win at Punchestown. She's obviously got an engine. She's going to take a step forward. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, she's only run twice. There's not a lot to go on by what I've seen from her. I wouldn't be fully keen to take this. Was it 72? She is. I think that is a bit short.
Oh, yeah, 72, yeah.
And then you've got 6.5, the favourite. I mean, Gavin Cromwell, I think, suggested that she's probably his best chance of winner at the meeting. I mean, she's a 482 rated flat horse. Beat Quallen Meter by 12 lengths, who's finished 3rd in the mare's handicap off 117. How much do you read into that? I mean, it was a bit of a messy race, that I thought. Again, she's maybe a bit short. And then you've got Caroline Bamboo and Jubilee Alpha. The 2 that I'd probably be looking at each way. I mean, Jubilee Alpha Nichols is the UK. Hope beat Hollygrove Cha Cha at Taunton, who's rated 121. It's not bad. She looked quite impressive. I mean, I backed Caroline Bamboo. When did I back her? Early on in the season. And then she got beat on a debut, which wasn't the best. But she won last time at Fairy House, and that was on heavy ground. Maybe she is more ground dependent. I mean, she's got the French form. She was behind a Grade 3 winner. She was behind a horse on the flat who then won a Grade 3 hurdle over in France. I think that could be quite decent form. If the ground does become soft or testing, I think she would be a nice each way proposition. But like I say, it's not a market I'm going to get heavily involved in, especially with the short favourite, and Marine at 72 doesn't really interest me, to be honest. So I'd rather look elsewhere. I thought Galadeo Dam, was it? Ran a decent race at the DRF. I think she could be quite a nice each way shout. But yeah, I'd rather take something an each way play in this, I think.
Yeah, I think Joseph mentioned the other day that she's going to be entered in this and the Triumph. Whether she goes to the Triumph or here, we'll be obviously wait and see. George, obviously we had Marine come out 2 mile 2 and a bit on heavy. Do you think she'll have the speed for this sort of test? I think it'll be Brighter Days Ahead, Mark, too. And last year, she got done for a bit of speed, didn't she?
I think with some of the more sort of flatbred horses in here, Marine will probably struggle to go the gallop, and unless they really mess it up, unless they go far too quick. there's only really I'm going to mention two, but there's only really one horse on my mind for this at all. I watched Galileo Dam make her hurdles debut, and I was shocked by she made the running. I think she was a bit too keen, and she backed off every single hurdle. She didn't. She pulled herself to the front and then didn't want to be there. Do you know what I mean? She must have given away 25 lengths during that race, just backing off every single hurdle, giving 3-4 lengths back at a time. I was all over her from an each way perspective, the DRF, because I just thought if she gets a lead, she'll jump properly. If she jumps properly, she's got some engine. Like I said, she gave away 20-25 lengths the day before, got beat 2 lengths by a horse that had already had a run over hurdles. I think I'd rather see her come here than the Triumph, purely because it's literally her and 6.5 are the main horses that have that sort of flat experience. Like I think 6.5 was rated 92, 93 on the flat. Galileo Dam was rated 96. And I think they can run the legs off the likes of Maureen and Jubilee Alpha and Caroline Bamboo. I can see this being less well run and turning into a speed test. Again, having said that, the only thing that did surprise me about her run at DRF was, I think, where they went slow and sort of sprinted. It took her a second to get going. Like, she has the top speed, but the acceleration wasn't there instantly. There was a minute she might have been last for a second, I think, going around the last bend. But I really like her. I'm a big fan of this horse, and she would be. I've already backed her for this and the Triumph non-runner no bet, because I think she's a horse with a load of ability who will improve for the second run over hurdles.
Quite interesting. If she doesn't win this season, she'll still be a novice as well for next, so that might be something to.
Funny you should mention that.
Bear in mind.
my other sort of my each way flyer in this is a horse that ran it last year. Is Therese of Henry de Bromhead's. Again, this horse won on the 9th of February. De Bromhead's not been having winners. Do you know what I mean? She won a listed race by 8 lengths at Navan. Admittedly, over 2.5 is the only slight foil in the plan. As she's mostly been running over further. But look, she was beat 3.25 lengths by Bioluminescence last year in a maiden hurdle. Obviously, the mare's novice must have come a year too soon for her, but she won her maiden hurdle in October by 27 lengths. She then got beat in a listed race by 3.5 lengths, and then won a listed race by 8 lengths. I think it's probably too big a price for a horse with that sort of CV, especially given how well she managed to run when the rest of Henry's were completely out of form. She's 25-1. The only thing is, I suppose she must be qualified for handicaps, but those entries aren't out yet, so we don't know that yet. And I can't think winning a listed race by 8 lengths isn't the ideal prep if you were going for a handicap. But yeah, that'd be my other little poke in it.
No, I like them. I think they're all good points. My sort of early shout was Baby Kate. She beat Caroline Bamboo. She's been beat now by Aurora Vega, who I don't even think is going to go. Yeah, I think they mentioned skipping Cheltenham with her. Caroline Bamboo's obviously come and won next time, but heavy ground, over a bit further. I don't know. It looks like messy form to me. That
Caroline Bamboo was second in a Group 1 flat over in France. I've just looked at. So
shove your flat form, mate.
You'll be here, James.
But just as we're about to do the Triumph, shove your flat form.
I'm gonna say. I'm trying to get that in as a bit of a funny joke, but. Maureen, I think I'm in agreement there. I think is she going to be a bit slow for this? I think she obviously got the engine. She looks really impressive. I think she could be one that gets beat in this and then goes on and maybe wins like a mare's hurdle next year. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. But 6.5 obviously was dead impressive. I think she'd be a fair favourite. I know they're kind of just about similar price, but I think she'd be one that I'd probably, if out of them two, I'd probably rather back them two. And like I say, there, Galileo Dame, I think if you're backing a non-runner no bet, I think she's a fair each way. She's 16-1 there, but I don't think that's non-runner no bet, so she will be a little bit shorter. Maybe 9-10-1, something like that. I think that's a fair bet. If she goes Triumph, she's probably a decent bet in that as well, to be fair. But non-runner no bet, definitely. Yeah, I think for me, I'd probably go 6.5 if I'm going to back one right now as the main one. So I'll take Maureen on, and I know Joe was big on Maureen once the Rich, so his heart will be broken if she gets beat, I think. Right, the last couple then we're going to do.
Joe, while we just mentioned Joe,
You are?
we'll feel sorry for Joe on his 8-1 Sergino anti-post
I
pick.
mean, we've got one more show to go, and we'll review the picks so far. But I think they're looking pretty. There may be only one or two between us all, which will look pretty decent. I'm happy with my Galloping Deschamps 7-2 captain. No, that's probably going to win it for me, to be honest. Go on, George, you got something to say?
So did I put one up on here as well that I don't think's even run yet? Did I do the anti-post show?
I don't think you did. No, I went.
It
No,
must
you didn't do it this year.
podcast. I'm sure I put up Good and Kind somewhere to win the Turners, and it hasn't run yet.
You might have done, actually.
There's still time.
What you putting up now? Yeah?
They've left it. I'll tell you what. They've left it in. It's still in the novice hurdles at Cheltenham. So
Plan all along.
that's the other one. Jade de Grugy and that are two of my were two of my favourite anti-post bets. Neither of them's run yet, but they're both still in their races at Cheltenham. So I don't really know what's going on with either of them.
Hey! I mean, you mentioned Jade de Grugy there. I mean, we know what's the mare's going to look like if both Flossie and Bright Days Egg go for champion. It could be there for taking, couldn't it?
I think the plan from what I've heard of, that everyone's heard, public domain stuff that Ruby Walsh has been saying on Paddy Power and that, is that she is going to run in the mares. She's going to make the mares, but she's not going to have a prep run. Which I guess is just they just want to get her out. If she's had an issue, they'll want to get her running, strengthen her legs back up, and then have a pop at novice chasing next year.
Yeah, but I think that's it. Yeah. I mean, there's going to be a lot of shake-ups over the next few weeks, and I'm all for it. Right, the last few of them, I'm going to talk about the Triumph. No mention of any flat form, please. I'm only joking. Is this going to pop up? Is that working? So we've got Lalamba as favourite, East India Dock. I mean, it's looking like a UK winner this year, isn't it? Hello Neighbour, one of your favourites, Rich. I'll come to you first, George. What do you make of the Triumph this year? Obviously, Lalamba was massively smashed in before it even run. His run at Kempton was impressive. Or was it Kempton or Dimis? I can't know. Scott, can't remember.
Yeah.
It was impressive when he ran. East India Docks obviously bolted up a couple of times. Hello Neighbours won. Which way are you siding at this point in time? Are you without bigger?
Look, I massively respect East India Dock. I think he has shown the highest level of form so far. Lulamba, right? I'll get into my wild each way pick here. I believe Mondo Man can turn the form with Lulamba at Cheltenham.
Will he settle?
Yeah, I think he will. He's gonna run in the Adonis, where he probably won't need to settle. Is the only thing. I think he wins the Adonis. You look like he's done. There couldn't have been a worse track to pull as hard as he did than Ascot. You come all the way up Swindley Bottom. He's still like towing Keelan along 3 out. He goes around the third horse, and Lulamba gets the Golden Highway up the inner of the third.
Does, yeah.
If they had the same run, I say we get beat less than half a length. And yeah, we're receiving £10, but we're receiving £10 because Lulamba wasn't a maiden. Not only wasn't having his first run over hurdles, wasn't a maiden over hurdles. He won back in October. Our horse was having his first ever start in a hurdles race, and he's giving away fitness as well because he hadn't run since July. As the other horse again had run in October, and it was over hurdles. If that's not worth £10, I don't know what is. I think on as long as he settles, I think he can turn the form with Lulamba. Especially, he's going to have a second run under his belt. He'll be going there having his third run over hurdles. Lulamba's sort of had this sort of stop-start where he's going to have to go there having not run since the 18th of January.
Yep.
I know Nicky's taken a big step forward, but it's a big ask. It is a big ask. So that's all to say. I don't think I can fancy Lulamba if I think a 25-1 shot can beat him. So my each way play has to be Mondo Man because, as I said, I think he beats the favourite. I don't know if he wins, but I think he beats the favourite. The horse I think wins is Hello Neighbour.
Rich will be buzzing.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you. Because, sometimes you watch a race and you go, am I the only person who saw what I saw? I think he made the best hurdles debut I've seen this year. He'd never jumped a hurdle in public before. He was on the sharp end on a grade 2, and people go, "Oh, he didn't jump that well because he fiddled a couple and lost 0 lengths." Like, no, that's insane. Horses don't do that. Like, they're going grade 2 gallop at the front with 0 hurdling experience. He should have clattered a couple, and he didn't. Like, I was really, really impressed with him, and I was all over him at the DRF. I think he's only doing enough in his races. He's idling in front, and I think he take another massive step forwards here. I'd say I haven't checked, but I'd say he's the highest rated of these on the flat, bar Mondo Man. I'd say, is he 98 or something?
Yeah, he's around there.
97.
Yeah, 97, I say 97, yeah.
So I'd say he's close to the highest rated of these on the flat. I think he's got a whole lot more in the bag, and I think his price is an insult relative to the top 2 in the betting. I think he's proven more than Lulamba, and I think he's nearly proven as much as East India Doc. He doesn't deserve to be double the price. That's for me from a price perspective and the impression he made on me on his hurdles debut. I think Hello Neighbour's a real proper horse. So I'd be happy to take those 2 against the field.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Rich, you'll be very happy. I mean, to be fair, every point there is completely valid, and you're thinking, right, 6-1, Hello Neighbour, is he not just an absolute stonewall each way bet for sure? Because he's not, you're not if he performs, he's not going to be out of the first 3, is he? Surely. I mean, go on.
I backed him each way at 9-1 the night before the DRF, thinking he'd be favourite for the triumph the following afternoon, and it just didn't happen. It's just I don't know what people want him to do. They want him to win by 10 lengths going away. That's not what a lot of horses do. It's like people being disappointed by his State Man because he finished looking slowly in his race. Yeah, he was left on his own from halfway. What was he meant to do? Like, give it 10 smacks behind the saddle just to amuse everyone else?
What price would Hello Neighbour be after the DRF and that what we've seen if he was trained by Willie Mullins?
It's a fair question. I'd say probably around 11-4, I would guess.
I think he'd be definitely shorter than 6-1 anyway. I mean, Rich, you're obviously a big fan. He just keeps winning, doesn't he? And he keeps improving. Like you say there, won a grade 2. I know Lady Vega Allen got within a short head of him. And then, a length and a half next time. Does he keep with all that form? Does he keep improving? I mean, is he definitely currently probably one to beat for the Irish anyway?
Oh yeah, I'm a massive fan of this lad. I mean, the Cromwell yard have always spoke quite highly of him. I mean, before he made his debut, Cromwell came out and said that he was probably their best chance over Christmas. I mean, for his debut in a grade 2, they must think quite highly of this lad. I mean, we think due to the fog, I think we only saw him jump 4 hurdles, but I was impressed with that debut. And obviously, then we got to see him again in the DRF. I mean, he travelled like a travelly thing in that. I think he settled fairly well. I think they've kind of figured out how to ride him. I mean, I think this race will be set up quite nicely for him. I mean, East India Doc obviously is going to get lead, and I think Hello Neighbour is just going to stay in behind him for as long as he can. I don't think he's a horse that will go off and win 5 or 6 lengths. I just think he does enough. He travelled in the DRF really nicely. As soon as he got to the front, I just think he wasn't bothered. So I just think Keith Donoghue will sit behind East India Doc. They'll jump the last, and then he'll play him late. And yeah, like I say, I backed him early prior to Christmas at a double figure price, so I'm fairly sweet on him. But I still think he's backable each way at 6-1. I can't see him out the top 3. A quick mention to live Conti we saw today at Wetherby. Again, didn't really beat a lot, but again, Skelton didn't really ask a lot of him. I think the French form's fairly decent. Will he rock up in this, do you think? I mean, I'd maybe have a little each way crack just in case. I mean, it could be anything, but Hello Neighbour is definitely the one to be on, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Harry Skelton come on and bigged up live Conti, like you say. The form and the Francis stacked up and he won today. Whether he'd be able to win a triumph off one run, I don't know. Whether they'll even go or they'll save him for next season, I don't know. But I agree with all your points, really. I think, like you said there, you mentioned about Mondo Man, George. I think that he definitely gets a lot closer if he can kick on from that. And if he wins at the, the Adonis, did you say he's going to run in? If he wins that, he's definitely right up there. Lambert, I mean, for me, is a short price. We've probably missed the boat. If you want to back him, fair enough. But based on that one run, it's a lot of faith on such a short price. East India Dock, like it says, beat Stencil 10 length, Static 18 length. He's looked very, very impressive. Can he go and win it? I don't know. Hello Neighbour, probably the best of the Irish. St. Lucy, do we give her a chance, Rich? I mean, she completely blew up at the DRF. Race Ray too keen.
I mean, I know you lost money on her, but I was smiling like there was no tomorrow when I saw St. Lucy going backwards. No,
yeah, you kept that to yourself, and now you've brought it up to rub it in. So that shows you really mean to her. You really stick it knife in, aren't you? Look, I mean, would she be Paul's ride? Will they swap to Lady Vega and Allen maybe and see if she gets any closer? She's at 33-1 now. Is St. Lucy? Could you forgive her one run?
Well, just let her go, James. Just let her go.
We'll see. No, I think, yeah, I've kind of there's a lot of picks I've had in the past where I've kind of had to come round to the fact that they're probably just not going to win. And like you say, fresh face. I think Hello Neighbour looks very strong. I'd have him over Lambert. East India Dock's probably the fly in the ointment, but then you just think, well, what's the UK form really? Do you know what I mean? It happens all the time. But I suppose UK might have won it last year with Sagino if he hadn't been out. But yeah, I think you're talking 6-1 Hello Neighbour. I think he's a banging each way bet. It really is that simple. And I agree with you all, to be honest. And if St. Lucy wins, they'll be happy.
We should have won the Triumph a few years ago as well.
Oh yeah, we could mention that one as well. We should have picked that one up. So we've been very unlucky, haven't we, George?
Maybe that's it. Mondo Man's going to right the wrongs. He's going to
Do you know what? I really hope he does. And nothing silly or crazy.
I still can't talk about that Triumph.
Yeah, that's the other thing is, we're sending something that's just as keen to go and right the wrongs. He's in this Saturday over fences, Goshen, if anyone's a fan.
Go on, Goshen.
Yeah. He ran very well the other weekend. Was it last weekend? Weekend before? He actually looked like he was enjoying his racing for once. Finished third at 33-1. So thought it would make it more difficult to stick him in over fences. I would say with Mondo Man, it's important. He was gelded when we first got him, and he took it very, very hard, and was subsequently had to have a load of time off. He'd been quite difficult to sort of train and keep sound and that. But this is all to say, he'd have been 3/4 fit at Ascot and done what he did, and pulled that hard and still hit the line. There's a hell of an engine there. And I think, touch wood, since Ascot, he's been fine. And I saw him work with Hansard the other day, and Jamie left him go a long, long way. Like left him like 5-10 lengths to make up, and he made it all in like that. Like he's got an engine. So fingers crossed. I'd do. It could almost be off an each way double, couldn't it? Adonis and the Triumph. So I think
you probably get that on like a William Hill or Paddy Power or something like that.
Yeah. I think. Look, if he's not placed in the Triumph, he ain't going to win if he ain't placed in the Adonis, he's not going to win the Triumph. But if he wins the Adonis, he has to halve in price for the Triumph, surely.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's worth a pop, definitely. I think from what you've said, I mean, it's a Triumph. They go off like clappers. Anything can happen. He's at that price. It's worth an each way all day long.
Yeah, that's one thing. There'll be like maybe Palladium, Galileo, Dame, Lady Vega Allen. Like you could even Lambert, to be honest, who might be able to get outpaced in that here. Mondo Man tactically is going to be extremely versatile because they can't go too quick for him.
We're piling into Mondo Man now, Rich. I'm piling in. We've got to get a bit on, haven't we? We've got to get a bit on. I'm off to Bucky's tomorrow. 100% put a little bit on him. A couple of comments. Brooke Broughton, mate. Good evening, mate. Long time no speak. Used to play rugby with him a little bit. Hope you're well, mate. Nice to see you on here. Jerry says, hello, neighbour. No chance whatsoever. Why? Why has he got no chance, Jerry? Tell me why. Don't just come up with a statement. Tell me why.
Tell me why.
And then we're going to talk about the very last race, and it's the Albert Bartlett. The potato race, as people like to call it. We've got the yellow clay, which is, I mean, he's 7-2 now, which kind of shocked me a little bit. I didn't realise he'd gone this short when I was doing the pictures for it and saw the price on Australia, best price 7-2. Yeah, you've obviously got the Final Demand in here. That's probably not going to, he's not going to go away now. The Big Westerner, we obviously spoke to Dara O'Keefe when he come on the show. He bigged her up, give her a massive chance. Jet Blues in here. Jasmine DeVoe, I put him up for the Turners. He cannot jump. He did jump a little bit better last time, stepping up to 3 mile. Willie said he's probably going to go here. Yeah, could he be the flying element here? And I'll come to you, George. Wingman's in here, obviously, as well. He's probably going to... Is he going to go here as well? If they've got the yellow clay, will they split them up? What do you think? Derek St. Paddy won for us at... where was it? Was it Windsor, Rich? Where was it? Derek St. Paddy won for us on his second run? I forgot now.
I'll find out.
Anyway, yeah. George, what do you think then? Albert Bartlett finishes off. Who wins this, mate, at this point today, right now? It's tough, isn't it? It's tough. It's a mess, isn't it? It's a mess.
It is tough. What I did notice, he currently only has one run, and I don't believe is going to be qualified for handicaps in time. It's Mozzie's sister. Like, ran an absolute blinder in the Nathaniel Lacey at Leopardstown, and is 40-1 for this. Holds no other entries. Looked like a step up in trip. Was sure to suit. Well, she had already won 2 mark. So she finished second to the Big Westerner over 2.7 in that grade 2 at Limerick. I'd say stamina's already assured. Like that's one that interests me down the weights. I'm already on yellow clay at short, bigger than this. I'm not sure I can advise 9-2 this far out. Do you know what I mean? If he's still 9-2 on the day, I'd say you get stuck in. The one that makes most sense to me now would be non-runner, no bet Wingman. He's reliable. He's got all the right form. He looks like he's going to stay. Like, if anything, like he was keeping on behind Final Demand the last day. As he's just been placed in and around all the right horses, and he's not going to be able to get in a handicap in time. So he needs one more run.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
And he's a quarter of the price for this. He is for the Turners. I just think he's a rock solid horse, and without a Final Demand in there, without a New Lion, there's no real standout superstar in this. Obviously, he's got an 11 lengths to turn around with the yellow clay off the Lawlers of Naas, but it's another half a mile further. And I thought, as I said, even the last day up 2 furlongs in trip, he looked like he needed further. So those would probably be, let's say, yellow clay. If you can get that sort of price on the day, absolutely fill your boots. But from an each way perspective, Wingmen and Mozzie's sister would make some appeal. Both of them being non-run, no bet, really, because Wingman has other options, and Mozzie's sister is a bit curious to me. She's the price that she is, if she's definitely going here. But yeah, 40-1 does seem far too big.
Yeah, fair comments there. I mean, it's an Albert Bartlett. It's not normally one that you thought would be back in this early unless you had taken on running or bet. I agree with you there. Rich, obviously they aim at the turn for yellow K. Now it looks like it's probably going to go here. You got Wingman as well. Jasmine DeVoe obviously can't jump. He's probably going to go here. Sorry. You've got what's it called? Sans Victorious. I mentioned him on the DRF preview. I said I thought he'd be one that got beat at the DRF and then come here and maybe run a little better. He's now out to a massive price, 33s and stuff like that. Would you give him a squeak maybe, or are you looking at the top of the market?
It's one of those races where you want a double figure price. I mean, Stella Story won at 33s last year, Stay Away Faye at 18s, The Nice Guy at 18s, Vanilla at 14s. You want something that's got a bit of meat on it. And I mean, at the prices, the Big Western, is going to turn up here. I think 7-1 each way is quite a decent shout. Obviously, JetBlue, same connections as the Final Demand. I think he's pretty much nailed on after winning at Cheltenham to run here with Final Demand going to the Turners. Again, another each way. I think that's quite decent value.
Just back them all each way.
Well, you want something at a decent price. I mean, it's a very messy race at the minute. It's not something I would get stuck into. I mean, I've had a quick look. One that I don't know if he's going to run, but would Bill Joyce potentially each way have a squeak in this? I mean, he's won twice over 2 miles 3, and then he finished third in the Shallow that we know. And then he finished third again at Cheltenham in January, I think it was, where he was behind 6 Mile Bridge and Potter's Charm. He's been behind the nice UK horses, similar to 3 Miles. I just think, I mean, he's not on your list, so he's going to be a decent enough price. He's maybe something that I would maybe have a little squeak on, but like I say, it's a bit of a messy race as it stands.
And I think we mentioned earlier the form of the Challow with Regent Stroll getting beat since and Bill Joyce getting beat since. Bill Joyce was beat by 2 pretty decent horses, and actually the second from the Challow absolutely hosed up today.
Yeah,
should be said. It was doing 7 lengths or something. Weatherby.
Yeah.
It's worth mentioning. It's mixed results from the Challow. I wouldn't quite say it's not working out just yet. And actually, is she? Is it a filly? Wendigo? No, it's Gelding. Is actually in this as well at a much shorter price. You say 3/4 of a length between Wendigo and Bill Joyce that day, and then what? How many points in the betting? 166 to 1 and one is 20 to 1. That gap should probably be smaller. It probably to do with the fact that Bill Joyce is slightly shorter in the Turners, but if he was mine, I'd take him here.
Yeah, I think you've got some good points, Salads. I think it's fair to say. I think Gordon Elliott's probably got a good hand in here. If he sends Wingmen or Yellow Clear, whichever one comes in, I think he's got a massive chance. It's mad to think Wingmen was getting beat by Country Mile just over 2 mile at Cheltenham, and now he's going to be in an Albert Bartlett. But he's definitely much better on these sort of staying trips. I think you're right there, George. He was staying on behind Final Demand. He just couldn't go with him. Harrison's put a comment on here. Love Big Westerner for this. Yeah, Dara O'Keefe spoke very highly of her. You know, she's done a lot wrong. Race won't really run to suit last time, and she still managed to win. She obviously gets the allowance in here as well. Will she be able to pull it off after a bit of a layoff? Not layoff, but a bit of a break. Not sure. Maybe she probably won't be for me, to be honest. She can run well, but yeah, I think I'll be looking on the day, waiting for something at double figures. I could just see Jasmine DeVoe ended up going off a silly price and coming in. If he improves his jumping, got the engine.
It's a big if, though, isn't it?
No, James. No.
I mean, what do you mean? No, you can't write him off.
This is his trip, but I think
a little bit slow.
I think I heard Ruby say Jasmine DeVoe and Kopek Day Boards did a lot of schooling together after their respective jumping displays over Christmas. They were both sort of put into intensive school. And it seemed to work wonders for Kopek Day Boards, who's a little bit younger. Jasmine DeVoe, who's maybe a little too old to change his ways at this point, maybe. It was better. It was better the last time, but it couldn't have been worse.
Yeah, true. I mean, they took the cheap pieces on. Whether they'll try them again or maybe something different, I don't know. But it's just one of them where you can see it happening. But yeah, I'll wait for the day and see what comes up. But
we'll all feel stupid when it hoses up. It's one of those horses where you go, yeah, the horse that won the champion bumper obviously won one of the novice hurdles at Cheltenham, but you couldn't back him. You just couldn't. One
of them, it'll be 33 on there, absolutely friendless in market, and just pop up flying down end. No, who knows? God knows what Port Town end will ride, but anyway, it'll be a good race, whatever happens. And that's it, really, lads. So that's kind of that's the novice hurdles kind of looked at this sort of stage before we really get into the last final weeks before. I've really enjoyed that. It's nice to have a fresh look at it and see where the markets are at and where we're all thinking now. But I think we've picked up hopefully some winners there. And like I say, we're going to do the novice chases next week, which will be really good. So we're back on that'll be on Thursday. If you can do that, George, Thursday, we might have something to Wednesday. We'll see. But
absolutely, yeah.
Cheers for coming on. Have you enjoyed coming on again? We do like you coming on, mate. Honestly.
Yeah, of course. It's always great fun, lads. And like I say, it's the time of year. You're like, should we just do Cheltenham? Let's not worry about. I'm going to Ascot on Saturday, and even I'm not really that bothered about this weekend's racing.
Yeah. I agree with that, mate.
The horses aren't going to be out. We can just get on with it now. Let's just go to Cheltenham.
Yeah, the closer you get,
the other day, so I'm raring to go now.
Good man. Yeah, the closer you get, the more you think, just sack rest off and let's just get on with it. But we'll have tips and things up on Twitter for the weekend. There's still good racing and all that sort of stuff. But in terms of the podcast, let's just crack on with Cheltenham now. Rich, obviously, we'll be back next week. We're going to be back Monday. We've got the last Cheltenham Anti-Post show, haven't we? And we've got another jockey guest coming on, the last one, and he's rode some decent horses in some decent races, and I think he'll have some nice little nuggets for us. So we'll announce that on Twitter next over the next couple of days, and then George and Rich, and we'll all be back on next Thursday for the next Cheltenham special. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe to the video and all that jazz. And yeah, thanks everyone. We'll see you all next week. Cheers and goodbye.
Cheers, George. Cheers. See you later, everyone.
Cheers, bye bye.